Okay, Kim and Alexis, thank you both so much for being here. We're really excited to have you on as guests.
Thank
Thanks for
you.
having us.
Yes, we're excited to have you and excited to learn from you as well. So we're just going to dive right into it. Just before we get into the content here, just so listeners know, what industries and roles do you focus and place in?
I'll let you answer.
The two of us primarily focus on accounting and financial search.
Hmm.
Mainly our work is in Houston locally, but we do work a nationwide market, especially with private equity firms that are looking for C-suite executives throughout the country. We've been able to tie that in. Best thing happened with COVID for us. With people being able to work fully remote, we do see a lot of those positions where people could be anywhere and they're working with clients of ours in other states.
Perfect.
But primarily, our focus is accounting and finance. Our firm does across the board.
Hmm. Okay. Okay. Well, that's really good to know. So your firm does place in other areas. You two focus on accounting and finance, just so that everybody kind of knows an idea here. But we won't just focus on those areas. But I'm really excited to hear what you both have to say about what we want to dive into. So my first question for you is, let's talk about some common mistakes. Common mistakes you see executives make when they're starting to search for new opportunities.
One of the common mistakes I see is that they absolutely have been doing their job with their head down for so long, they don't know where to go, what to do. I think you have to approach finding a new opportunity as a job in and of itself and be dressed every day working that marketplace. And in your niche, whether it's going to LinkedIn and connecting with everybody that you're working with, I just see common mistakes are just not getting started, getting off the ground to start treating it as a job in and of itself.
Yeah. Yeah. And do you think, Kim, do you want to add anything to that before I ask a follow-up question? Because I'm very interested in that.
I think that they need to, if you're starting, I think you need to find a recruiter that specializes in what you do and what you want to do, so they understand what you're looking for and can better help you.
Hmm.
Yeah, I think it's a very important part.
Yeah, I'd agree, especially at the executive level. I'd really agree with that. And I mean, obviously, I know you guys are the pros, right? So I'm interested in hearing more. And so I'm gonna go to what Alexis said here, and then we're gonna jump back to what Kim said because I have a follow-up question for Kim as well. But when we're talking about treating it like a full-time job, we're talking about the job search. You're looking for a new role. You got to sit down, get dressed, do the work, right? Do you see that as a really common issue? Because I see that a lot where people say, "Hey, I've been looking for 3 months," and really all they're doing is applying to a couple positions. So, what would you suggest, or I guess not what you suggest, but do you think it's just the worry that they will be rejected that makes them not want to start, or what do you think holds them back? Because it seems like if you're looking for a way to make money, you would treat that like a full-time job. But do you have any opinion on that?
No, I think you're right, Jesse. I think one of the things is people are afraid of rejection. And
Hmm.
if you don't start, you're not going to get rejected, so don't start.
Yeah.
But I do think that if you treat it as a job in and of itself, I mean, I'm with you. I talk to so many people, what have you done in your job search? And they're saying, well, I get on and I answer ads on LinkedIn. I might go and answer ads on a job posting from a website of the company. Again, if you have a recruiter that you've selected to work with and team up with, a lot of times that recruiter can help coach you through what are you doing today. And they'll make the phone calls with you, have a list.
Yeah.
But planning your plan and working your plan is as important in your job search as it is in your day-to-day job when you were doing it.
Perfect. Perfect. I think that ties really well into what Kim was saying. So let's talk about how would an executive make sure that they're utilizing a relationship with a recruiter in the right way? Because I've seen a lot of recruiters, or not recruiters, but executives that, and this is a long-winded question, so bear with me. But I've seen a lot of people that say they just call recruiters and say, "Hey, find me a job." And that's it. They're not very cordial about it, right? And I've seen both sides. I'm not saying every executive does this, but Kim and Alexis, what is the best way to really capitalize on the relationship that an executive can have with the recruiter to help them in their job search?
I think first of all, you have to respect each other's time and be honest with your recruiter. Like tell them what you're looking for, what you want honestly, and be honest on your resume. Um,
Hmm.
and I mean, I think being respectful of each other's time is important. I mean, we will sometimes find people who talk to us for a minute and then we call them to, hey, what do you think? I have this wonderful company, and then maybe they don't respond quick enough, or if we are sending it, if things move quickly and jobs go. And so for a recruiter, it's important for that candidate to be communicative,
Hmm.
I think.
I think
Yeah.
also one of the things that, to set this platform up, we are executive search, so we are paid by our companies that have asked us to go out on search to find the right candidate for that job. We're
Hmm.
not an employment agency. We are not somebody who takes a person and finds a job for them. And I think, especially at the executive level, they don't understand that sometimes. So it's out of the kindness of our hearts that we're actually working to help somebody network within our networks.
Hmm.
They're not paying us for that,
Yeah.
okay?
Right.
So if they understand that up front, then we become a consultative relationship with each other, because quite honestly, we are very aware that wherever this executive goes to work, they're going to be in the hiring seat one day, and that's what's going to come full circle to us. So no
Yeah.
matter how they get their job or where they get their job, we're going to hopefully be developing a relationship with them that's going to go on past just this search for
Yeah.
them. So as long as everybody understands that and understands that we're just trying to help each other get in those doors, I think
Mhm.
that's very important.
Yeah, I would agree. We had a guest, her name is Jennifer Tierney. And I sent an executive wanted to talk to her. They had a conversation and she actually said she didn't have a position for him. And she had that similar mindset, right? Of, hey, actually, I don't have anything, but I know an owner of a recruiting firm in the medical field. So or the medical industry, right? Med tech, I think it was. And so she made an introduction there. And it's kind of that whole thing of, right, if you treat each other right, if you know that you're not the recruiter's client, the company's the client, right? There's other opportunities that are out there, and the conversations that always what goes around comes around, right? So if you help each other out, it'll turn out to be better in the end for everybody. Am I
You
saying that
are.
right?
No, you are, and I think it's real important, because a lot of candidates think, oh, well, that recruiter didn't do anything for me. That recruiter isn't working on my behalf. Well, no, we're not working on your behalf. We're working on the company's behalf that hired us to go find the candidate to fill the
Mhm.
job. But it can be beneficial if it's handled in the right way
Yeah. That's
for both sides.
honestly, so everybody knows, and maybe I haven't explained this well on the podcast, but that's a huge reason why we started this podcast, right? Because I had a lot of people telling me that recruiters weren't doing what they should be doing, or recruiters saying, hey, there's a misconception here. And so I kind of wanted to clear the air. So I'm really happy you're saying that, because I love underlining that, because I think it helps with a lot of headaches on both ends. So people know when an executive gets laid off, there's mergers, acquisitions, things going on. You're speaking to recruiters, know, you're not paying them, you're not the client, but they do have opportunities, right? And there's a great relationship that can be formed there if you just treat each other with a little bit of respect, right? That's what it seems like to me. So, um, Kim, I don't want to put you on the spot. Did you have anything you want to add to that? If
I
not,
just wanted
totally
to
fine.
point out, like,
Yeah.
Alexis, she has people that she's worked with, candidates and clients for 30, 40 years, people that constant in her life, people who she's been loyal to, they're loyal to her. When they need someone, they call her.
Hmm.
And so I learn a lot from her in that part. Like, you be loyal to them and you treat them with respect and you build long-term relationships. And I think it's beneficial on both parts to do that.
Hmm. I would agree. I see it happen a lot where you have a conversation and maybe that executive, that speaks with a recruiter, they don't get placed then. Maybe that's 3 years down the road. You say, hey, I actually had a great conversation with Kim, and now I'm able to actually place Kim, or Kim's able to place me, or whatever it is, right? I know I just totally flipped that
Yeah.
recruiter client thing, but I used
It's
to use an
okay, yeah.
example in the wrong way. But I think it's a really good point for people to know, right? I mean, it seems to me like the best way to find a position is networking and making sure
Yes,
that you're actually treating people like people and you're helping each other out where you
yeah.
can. That's where I think it's the really common misconception where if you call a recruiter and say, hey, find me a job, and you hang up, nobody really wants to help people that don't treat them with a little bit of respect here and there. So,
Yeah.
Alexis, did you have something? You don't have to add anything. Before we kind of shift gears, did you have anything you wanted to add there?
No, I think I'm
Okay.
good.
Okay, awesome, awesome. So I want to shift gears a little bit. I want to talk about some misconceptions with executives and how they work with recruiters, but I want to go into ethics. I know that your company focuses a lot about ethics. Let's dive into what your focus is there and what I guess what sparks your interest when we talk about ethics in recruiting.
I think I go back to early on in my career. I met a gentleman through a friend of mine who was his CFO, and he was the owner of this company, very successful oil and gas billionaire here in Houston. And I kept saying, get me an invite. I want to know why this guy doesn't want to work with me. Why does he not like recruiters? What have recruiters done to him that's made him so tainted? And so she got me in his office. And he said, the biggest complaint I have about recruiters is that I signed a contract with them, I hired somebody from them, and within 90 days, like on the 95th day, they recruited the person back out after I paid them a fee. So it was very insightful to me as a 24-year-old brand new recruiter in this business at the time. I looked at him and said, oh my gosh, we would never do that. And he's like, well, it happens all the time, and that's why I don't use recruiters. And I said, what if I sign an agreement with you that myself and my firm will never recruit out of your company ever if you hire me to place people with you? I would never recruit not only the person I place, but any of your employees.
Yeah.
And he was like, would you do that? And I was like, of course I will. And that started my quest for rising above what other firms were doing and becoming an ethical recruiter. Because to me, that is the insight of why people don't like recruiters. You know, oh, they're just in it for this one deal. And, you know, they made money on me and then they moved on. They never even called me again. They never built a relationship with me. And that is absolutely the kiss of death. And ethics plays into that. You have to be ethical for people to continue to do business with you 40 years later, wherever they've gone, and stay in touch with them. There's a governing body in our industry. I am a CPC. It's a Certified Personnel Consultant. Our governing body is out of Alexandria, Virginia. And if you don't, it's a 4-part test. You have to have been in the business for X amount of years, and then you can take the test to become a Certified Personnel Consultant. And those people have to uphold the ethics that our board puts in front of us nationwide. And if you don't, you can be arbitrated, you can be stripped of your license. So I don't think a lot of people realize that there is this in our industry.
Interesting. And going back to that billionaire that you were talking to about, the recruiters and what they were doing, it seems so backwards, right? And that somebody would do that because you'd think you'd want that company to be, wanting you to place more and more executives, right? You don't think you'd want to, kind of, make a mess of where you're staying. Where I don't know the right saying for that, but you'd want to kind of treat them better because it'd be a recurring client for you as well, right? And so that's really interesting. Kim, do you have anything you want to add to that?
No, I mean, when I started here, I learned from this company. This was the first place I'd worked at, and I don't think I would not go somewhere else. And I think it's an easy thing to follow. Like, it's be who you are as a person and who you want people to be to you. And I mean, that's just the way I handle things. And I think it's our relationships with our client is important. It's important to me that they know that I'm someone they can trust. And so when I put someone in front of them, they know that that's a good person, that person will be good to them. And, that I want to put somebody there who's going to be there for 20 years, not 3 months. It doesn't benefit me to put somebody there for 3 months. It's the long-term thing, so.
Yeah.
And letting those people know, like when you're talking to an executive that's looking for a new home, that we're building a relationship with each other. I'm not just here to help you get into XYZ company. Once you get there, I'm going to be staying in touch. We're going to be working together the rest of our careers, and we're going to be watching your career, and hopefully you'll be watching ours. Yes. That's kind of how it goes around.
Yeah. And I mean, there's so many benefits from staying connected, right? I mean, you don't want to use it and then burn the bridge or not not help back where you were helped, right? I think that's a kind of a common thread I'm seeing in this conversation, right? If you want to see the most success, be kind of, kind and help people out where you can, and it comes around, it'll help you out in the end as well, right? I
That,
want to kind of shift gears a little bit here and talking about when transitioning to a new industry. What's the best way for executives to showcase transferable skills? Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
I'll let you go. I'm not sure how I would say that, because a different
transferring the
industry.
skills. I mean, I hate to say it, I don't see a lot of movement between, now in accounting and finance, what's unique with it is if you're, I learned this in high school, actually, economics, widgets are widgets. So if you are working in the healthcare space and you're dealing with medical devices and Medicare, Medicaid reimbursement issues and things like that, if you're going to switch into, I hate to say the debt care industry or the waste management industry, those things kind of go hand in hand and they can transition. But we in Texas get a lot of oil and gas searches, and oil and gas is very unique, and oil and gas people want oil and gas accountants. So there's not a lot of movement of those people into a whole new industry.
Hmm. Interesting. Interesting. And you would think, I mean, what I do see, I feel like it's common, like what you mentioned, you can go from one industry to another commonly in accounting and finance, but there also is that preference, right? Am I understanding that right? There's that preference of, hey, I'd like for my CFO or whoever it is to actually be experienced in the oil and gas industry, right?
Right,
Am I understanding that's kind of that preference overall, overarching even though their skills would transfer pretty well?
right. They
Okay.
stay in their niche.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And that's good to know. I'm seeing that a lot. It's depending on the industry, right? You'll see some people say, "Hey, we love people from different industries." I can't remember. It was an industry I was speaking with a recruiter from the UK. We just posted his podcast just a couple days ago. And they love getting people from new industries, but it's always different. So I love seeing that insight. I hope people in accounting and finance in the oil and gas and other industries are seeing this so they can actually, well, we'll see this when we post it, right? So that they can actually get an idea of what that looks like. Um, I'm going to shift gears again on you guys. I want to talk about one other thing. What's one piece of advice that you would give to an executive starting the job search today?
Stay positive.
Yeah.
I think a positive mental attitude is the best advice I could give. We were trying to
Yeah.
talk about that even amongst our group. You know, positivity breeds positivity. So if you believe you're the right person for that job, then you'll be the right person for that job. But if you go into it trying to find all the reasons why you don't fit that job, then you might as well move on. You're not fitting in that niche. Clients, companies, or human resources departments and hiring authorities are already trying to figure out why you're not a fit. So your job is to give them reasons why you do fit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's my best advice to give. The other thing is at a certain level, I had a friend recently who was a vice president in the banking industry, and he had been in the banking industry for 25, 30 years, and all of a sudden the bank was sold and all the executives were laid off. And he spent 2 or 3 years trying to find another position. That's a long time.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I kept counseling him, because he's a personal friend of mine, I kept saying, you're going to have to give. You're going to have to be a little bit more, your mind needs to realize your skill set of doing this can translate into something else, and look at what that could be, and not just be so hell-bent that you can't take something that you feel is a little bit lighter than what you've been, or lower, below you. You can't do that in a market when you're searching for a job. You got to find reasons why you do fit and why it does work.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting point of view, right? I think a lot of people that aren't executives that are thinking, most of our listeners are executives, so bear with me, but a lot of people that aren't executives would just assume executives are very confident, and sometimes they say they're overconfident, right? And that they're going to be confident they can do whatever role, whatever it is, whenever. But I think it's a really good point of view of, hey, everybody has that, what is that called? Imposter syndrome at some point
Yeah.
Yeah.
in time, right? And so
Yeah.
you want to look at it and say, okay, who's going to be an advocate for me? Honestly, usually it's yourself, right? Especially in the job search, right? You're the one advocating for yourself and the recruiter that you know, right? That's helping you out, right? And so you need to make sure to give yourself the best benefit of the doubt where you do fit well and really hit home on those areas. Am I kind of summarizing that right? Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Very much so. You hit it
Okay.
on the head.
Hmm.
Well, and that's
Yeah.
where it comes with having a good relationship with your recruiter and the person you're working with, so they can advocate for you and you're telling them how you want to be at. You know, if you're being honest with them and they have the ability then to advocate for you in a good way, and that I try to build my people up. I help them get ready for interviews, and we go through a pretty intensive process getting ready to go in, so they're prepared and comfortable when that time comes, and they know what they're interviewing for and how to talk about it and what their strengths are, and how to answer the weaknesses. And
Yeah, I'm amazed at how many people, when I say I want to, carve out some time and spend some time prior to the interview to get you prepared and make sure you have all the information to hit a home run and be successful in that interview. I'm surprised how many people don't take advantage of that. I have to just call them and make them do it. And even to the point where we get on Zoom and we role play with each other and make sure that it's successful. And again, a lot of executives think, hey, I've been interviewing people for, the 20 years of my career. I really don't need to be coached on that. But you'd be surprised. Those are exactly the ones that do need it.
Yeah. Well, especially, I mean, I'm preaching to the choir here, but I hope the listeners are listening to this or will be, because I think it's crucial that you know what the recruiter knows about the exact company, right? You might be great at interviewing, you might be great at writing a resume, you might be great at going through this whole process, but you don't know what the exact company's looking for, right? You need the insights. It's just like I referred to this on another podcast, but it's like dating, right? I haven't dated for a little while now, but the whole point is, you want to know what the person's interested in, what they're looking for, so that you can actually talk about the right things and make sure to kind of, again, hit a home run, right? And make sure to land the position or confirm or solidify the relationship, right? And so I'm
Right.
really surprised people don't take advantage of that as well. Kim, do you have anything you want to add to that?
I don't think so. I think that's all in there.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Well, I want to give you a platform. Let's make sure the listeners know here. If they're listening, they're a great candidate, or they're in the right industry, they want to follow what your organization does. They want to, maybe they're a potential client for you. What's the best way to reach you and learn more?
Our emails are always the best
Yeah.
to
Okay.
follow our emails. Our website is obviously accessible to people. I think you're going to post that.
Yep.
It's
And LinkedIn. I mean, if you connect on
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn and have a conversation, I've connected with lots of people that way. But call me. If you look on the website, my phone number's on there. I talk to people. I want to talk to people. An email's great. I will respond to an email, but I want to get on the phone with someone and hear a voice and them to hear my voice and talk. So reach out.
Yeah.
Reach out and.
As my mother always said, the squeaky wheel gets the oil. If you
Yeah.
are not the squeaky wheel in this marketplace, you're not going to get it.
Mhm.
The people who pick up the phone and call are the ones that get the most attention.
I love that. The people that say that one more time. I want listeners to remember that, because a lot of people don't think that. A lot of people don't emphasize or catalyze on that.
Yeah, I think people, a lot of the generation, I sound like my mom, a lot of the generation is taking it a step further to where they only text or they're only emailing. You have to pick up the phone and be a human being. So the person that picks up the phone and calls us is the one that gets our attention.
Yep. I love that. I love that. Kim, Alexis, thank you so much for your insights, for everything you've talked about today. I'd love to have you on again in the future. Honestly, it's been a great episode. Thank you for your time, and I hope all listeners took a second or are going to rewind and take some notes as well. So thank you for being on the episode today.
Thank you.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye bye.